Raw Mike Richards, brought to you by Bell Lifestyle Products. Also streaming live on sauga960.ca. And now, from the Bell Lifestyle Studio, here's Mike.
It is 8:42. Raw Mike Richards, Newstalk Sauga 960. You know, this is part of the, I suppose, a return to normalcy, I guess, when you get the kids ready, when you're starting to pile them in. Well, there are no, I don't think there are the minivans. I don't think there's minivans anymore. But part of our lives is that structure around getting our kids to places where they actually get to play again. It's a happy time, but that's not to say that there isn't, you know, some concern probably in the new world over what to do, how to organize. I would say it also revolves around the number of volunteers you'll have. It's going to involve registration. I mean, how do you get that done? Well, TeamSnap, and we've talked to this organization over the last couple of years, which I, you know, being obviously a son of a coach, is a brilliant idea. The inception, I think, of having a software that has dedicated itself to making that life easier for coaches, for parents, for just that entire organization that is just at the grassroots level so important. It's nothing short of brilliant. I mean, I'm just so impressed by it. And so Peter Frintzilas is going to join us here. He is the CEO of TeamSnap and also a Rangers fan. Is that correct, Pete? Am I getting this right? A Rangers fan?
Hey, good morning, Mike. That is correct, man. New York, born and bred.
Well, this is a before we get started, much happier year for you, this Rangers
so far,
season.
man.
I would say.
So far. Yeah, we will see. We will see. We've got baseball starting up, so that's the wild card here for everybody, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that I was just actually in New York last summer. It's never, the Yankees are never not a topic. I mean, you can bring up other teams, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what side of the standings they're on. They are always top of mind.
No, we were talking about, the Jets quarterback situation. Like, yeah. But here's the thing, right? It's just a hard left turn. You're going to get back to that conversation.
It's even worse if you go a little bit north to our friends in Boston.
Well, great having you on this morning. And I
Likewise,
think
Mike.
For those that are listening for the first time, and we'll see this later on today on social media, to understand TeamSnap, just explain to folks who maybe don't know what this is or are part of an organization that hear this and their ears perk up. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. So look, high level, we're the #1 youth sports management app, right? We have over 25 million users. We've got nearly 2 million people logging into either our app or our software on a daily basis. And we provide easy to use tools for communication, scheduling, payment collection, registration, really trying to help organize every sport and group activity around the world. You know, youth sports is it's a complicated and disorganized industry, right? And our goal is really to organize the chaos by providing easy to use software that brings together leagues, coaches, parents, and players all in one place. And whether that's through our mobile app on the phone or through our web-based software for clubs and leagues to manage their business.
Like it is almost seemingly and ultimately in this world that is now lives through the computer and someone at some point, I mean, it just seems like it was, but it doesn't mean that someone invariably just going to think about it. Someone came up with this. I'm assuming that someone is you. And I'm just wondering the genesis of this. How does this come to fruition and all these parts crystallize to you actually making this happen?
Yeah, so I actually stepped into this role and had the good fortune of taking the reins of TeamSnap on about this time last year. The company itself is now about 11, 12 years old. Dave DuPont and a few others founded at that time. And at that point, it was a simple premise. Avoid showing up to the wrong field at the wrong time, right? Avoiding just, disappointing the kids and the frustration. And look, man, I played sports growing up, but this was back where we used to have, phone chains. If you weren't home and you missed the phone chain, like you're showing up to the field and it's empty, right? Somebody's just calling the next person. And so that was a simple premise. And, there's a handful of other friendly competitors in the space that started up around the same time that took a little bit of a different view. They were more focused on how do you help the clubs and leagues run their businesses better, really focused more on business software and the payments and registration end. And, over time, we've all kind of evolved and competing in each other's side of the field and trying to provide a full end-to-end solution.
Well, and it's changed so much. So those that are, my age, almost their kids are playing. But, there was a time growing up, certainly here in Canada, where the monetary side of it, so even the rental of the rink, the transportation, all these kinds of things, and registration was kind of a joke, because I'd show up to my local town and they'd say, "Oh, hey, Mike," because I'm playing what they called All-Star at that point, right? So you're playing on the town's varsity team, whatever you want to put it. And it'd be $75, Pete. It'd be $75. And yep. our town was very good at hockey. I was a goalie, and we'd usually go to the provincial championships. And I'd go in there as a little smart, like a little 11, 12, 13-year-old. And they're like, "Hey, do you got $75?" I'm like, "No, but you feel like winning again this year? Another championship?" Like, like a little dick. Like,
pickup players. Yeah.
I was like, hey, there I am at that age.
At 11 years
right?
Old,
it's like,
man.
Yeah, well, maybe you might want to, bye-bye, fee. Okay. How's that working for you? And I'm thinking, now the cost of the rental of anything, a court, a baseball diamond, soccer pitch, boy, you better have this down, because this is a day and age where the cost per kid, per team, per sport, I couldn't imagine the actual, you talk about 25 million users of the app, what that would relate to in actual dollar figures. I couldn't even imagine what that would look like.
On that, you're at least our data shows with your, call it higher end competitive clubs per sport. You're talking about fees, travel, equipment, $15,000, $25,000 a year all in, right? And it's insane. And so it's an interesting challenge right now, because for the higher end athletes, giving them every opportunity, giving them all the tools, giving them all the state-of-the-art facilities, the professionalization of youth sports to a degree is beneficial. The problem with it, though, is it is creating a massive divide and barriers to access, right? And so that the majority of the kids that just want to play sports, the barriers to entry relative to affordability and accessibility continue to increase. And so while we're very focused on building great software that allows either high-end clubs to operate, or even just making the lives of a volunteer easier, which is very important, right? Because they can do more with less. We also have a very heavy focus on giving back to the community, right? And just helping to provide access and affordability through grants, through subsidies, through scholarships that allow the kids that might not have the means, but still have the same heart and desire to go play sports, to get on the field, to get on the rink. And, it's an interesting evolution here.
So I'm assuming then a part of the app, so for those listening and watching today who are sitting there, fundraising obviously is a big part of how you can look after a lot of these fees. Yep. So that is, I am sure, worked into the app itself.
So we have a couple partners that we have brought into our user experience. It's not something that the company's been focused on. So we took the approach of, hey, let our partners who are focused on that, and they're doing it really well. And so we've integrated them into different aspects of the application itself.
Well, is this also an application, I'm assuming, also scholastically within schools as well, and school districts?
Yeah, we're used across all aspects of the community, right? And a lot of parents have said to me, we're the operating system for the family calendar, right? You have 2-3 kids in sports, each which are maybe playing 2-3 teams, your local, your travel, trying to just keep the family calendar organized on a weekly basis. It hits all aspects of both the community and the travel sport.
Well, here in Canada, as I'm sure it is the same way in the States, which is, see, hockey used to be, so maybe if you had a couple of brothers, then that's what you did. The boys went and played. But of course, with the advent and the success of girls and women's hockey, if you got both sons and daughters, there are weekends where the mother's going one way and the father's going another way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be father takes the son. Sometimes father takes the daughter. There is stress to this here in this country when it comes to the organization of hockey. So I got to think pretty high on this list in Canada. TeamSnap has to be very involved, I would think, in minor league hockey.
Yeah, we've got a great presence across North America, and in Canada. We've got more than 3 million users. We've got hundreds of sports organizations across Canada that use the platform to schedule their events, collect their registrations. And, the good thing there is we're starting to see the bounce back, as we're looking at comparisons to last year. first quarter alone. So I think January, February, March, we were at up 97% in Canadian youth sporting events year over year, right? So as we really think about everyone bouncing back and getting back on the rink, getting back on the fields, given different waves and different timing relative to the US and Canada a bit more prolonged last year and shut down through the spring, but really good to see those numbers starting to bounce back.
You know what I think is interesting, Pete, is that the influence of what you're doing now, you have no idea in the next 20 to 30 years, a kid that plays lacrosse, a kid that plays youth basketball, and he uses the app because his parent uses the app, the team uses the app. And I'm watching a show that I'm fascinated by. It's called The Food That Made America. I don't know if you've ever seen the show, The Food. I'm glued to it. And invariably, and it's really weird too, because it's usually like not what you think. So you think pizza, you're thinking, oh, of course, New York. No, Wichita, Kansas. I'm Irish. So two Irish guys going, what's the thing with the bread? I don't know. What do you mean bread? I don't know. It's got crossed through something. Put tomatoes on it and cheese. It's going to be big. No, it's not. And next thing you know, it's Pizza Hut, right? It's these things that influences what comes down the road. There's going to be kids who use this app who, I don't know, get into baking or bricklaying 20 years down the road. The mechanics of what your app does is going to influence somebody to go beyond that in their professional life. The ripple effect of being professionally efficient, probably, Peter, at some point, is going to influence these boys and girls who are playing youth soccer. It's kind of, you don't know where that influence is going to go, because I see it probably happening.
Yeah, look, it's the organization of groups, right? At the end of the day, that's not going to go away, whether it's sport, whether it's business, whether it's associations, being able to effectively organize and doing so in a way that's efficient and doing so where technology enables the need to have less people involved to enable that organization is going to be important. Like, I think about this a lot. I mean, I grew up in a fairly modest town. Like, I played sports throughout high school, but I wasn't going to play in college, right? But sports had a massive impact on my life, on my character, on my values, like who I became kind of down the road and now as a leader. And being able to kind of merge that with a focus on technology, which is a huge passion of mine, we're in a great spot right now. And we think a lot about the impact that we can have on the youth, right? And how do we get them more involved in the development of the technology, the understanding of the technology, so that in the context of sport, which they love, they're also learning those life lessons. They're also learning those professional lessons as they think about what they can do next in their career.
Well, I just think it's fantastic. I mean, I think the mechanism itself is amazing, as you said. I truly believe the influence on what this is going to be on young children, boys and girls, what they might to go on and do with their life, both on both sides of the border. But you said this is worldwide. This is a worldwide app.
Yeah, we're in over 100 countries. Yeah. Now we're really focused on North America right now, but we're on the Apple App Store, the Google Android Store, and word of mouth spreads, right? And that's been what's been fascinating about this company across its history and its lineage. I mean, this was a grassroots, just viral adoption across parents, across towns, across leagues, and it's spread. And so as people travel or people get wind of it, it's successful to everybody.
Well, you're obviously doing great yourself. So is there some university or college in upstate New York or somewhere that's bragging about how great you've done? There's going to be some sort of Frintzilas wing or somewhere or something? What's
I don't know about that, man. So I did go to Syracuse University undergrad.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I enjoyed myself while I was there. Wasn't the stellar student, but after graduation, got my act together. Did go back to NYU Stern. That was probably where things came together for me a bit more than it did at Syracuse, but we'll bleed orange all the way through, man.
Oh, there you go.
Experience.
A Jim Boeheim guy. There it is, right
Love
there.
It. Hey, I was there in 2003. That was my senior year. We took the championship. It was a great experience. Jerry,
good year to go.
And my team. It was awesome.
Unbelievable. Hey, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it. And if we had a chance to do this again sometime, I'd love to do it. I'm a huge fan of the app, a huge fan of what you do, and I appreciate the time here this morning.
Likewise, Mike. Thanks for all the kind words. Great conversation. I'm always up for this, man. Love the show and keep doing what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Go Rangers.
Thanks, take care. Have a good day.
That is outstanding. That's Peter Frintzilas joining us here. TeamSnap was the app that we were talking about. And if you're interested, we'll put this out. I said, Brendan, someone who used that as a kid. You know how good it is.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it wasn't around when I was like a young kid, but when I was like 15, 16, it was huge. Yeah, we used it for everything. It was great organization. You knew exactly where everything was. Yeah, very great app.
Outstanding. Great stuff. Once again, that is TeamSnap.